Pay close attention. The club has just made a massive, unexpected decision, a move that is going to completely reshape the Blaugrana attack for the rest of the season. And no, it is not. It is not Julián Álvarez. Barcelona is completely exhausted from waiting on him and tired of Atlético Madrid constantly saying no, especially since they now see him as a totally impossible signing. For months now, the media made you believe there was only one real option, that Julián is the only name in the minds of Deco and Hansi Flick, that Barca would wait for this single player until the absolute final day of the transfer window, no matter the cost. Well, that is officially over. Barcelona is tired. They are completely done with waiting around. Tired of the endless delays, tired of being taken for fools, and they've suddenly swerved their attention toward a brand new target that absolutely nobody had on their radar. And do you know the best part? People inside the club are actually whispering that this new striker might be even better, listery than the world champion they spent all summer chasing, that 80 million euros for him is an absolute steal, and that everyone who mocked them when his name first leaked is going to regret it. So who is this mystery forward set to sign in the coming hours? Why did Barca throw in the towel right now when everyone thought they would hold out until September? And who exactly was the key figure inside the club who personally demanded they sign this number 9? Make sure to listen closely because we have the full name, the exact fee, exactly how this entire operation was unlocked, and why there are people in the Catalan city who swear this is the one signing nobody saw coming, but everyone will be talking about in a few months. Trust me, this situation is much bigger than what they have been telling you. Let us look at the bigger picture first, because to truly understand this bombshell, you have to understand the crisis. This summer, Barcelona did something that is honestly dizzying to think about. They wiped out both of their starting strikers from last season with one single brutal stroke. Yes, both of them. Robert Lewandowski, whose contract finally expired as he walked away, closing a massive 4-year chapter where he constantly delivered vital goals on the pitch. And on the other hand, Ferran Torres, who resisted the pressure as long as he could, finally packed his bags and headed off to Paris. Between the two of them, those departed players managed to score more than 40 goals for the club last season, 43 to be absolutely precise. 43 goals that walked straight out the door, and as of today, there is nobody in the current squad who can replace them. Think about that for just a second. Barcelona, literally one of the biggest clubs on the planet, at this stage of the summer, does not have a single natural center forward in the squad. They just do not have one, and for a club with their massive ambitions, that is simply unacceptable. Now it is true that some new faces have arrived in attack. Anthony Gordon has arrived, costing an absolute fortune but able to play down the middle if necessary. Then there is Karim Adeyemi, who brings electric pace and fearlessness on the flanks. Plenty of hungry young players have joined the squad. But let us be completely honest, and this is the absolute key to everything. None of those guys is a true number 9. None of them is a lethal penalty box killer. The kind of player who guarantees 20 or 25 goals every single season, that natural striker who smells the chance before the ball even arrives. Hansi Flick knows it, Deco knows it, and President Joan Laporta, especially Laporta, knows it better than anyone. Barcelona desperately needs a cold-blooded assassin in the box to play alongside Lamine Yamal, who at just 18 years old is already the most decisive player on the team, and to go toe-to-toe with Kylian Mbappe's Real Madrid. Without that crucial number 9, the entire sporting project will fail. And this is precisely where we bring in the single name that has defined their entire summer, the name that has been repeated over and over to the point of exhaustion, the one they have practically hammered into your head. Julián Álvarez. Do you want to know exactly why the dream of signing Julián has transformed into a total nightmare for Barca? Hold on, because this gets much more twisted than you think. For several months, Barcelona's ultimate plan A carried only one surname, Álvarez, the young, world champion Argentine forward who has everything to prove. Proven, incredibly hungry, with that relentless high-pressing game that Hansi Flick absolutely loves, and that lethal instinct that would make any manager fall in love. The board at Barca viewed him as the perfect successor, the ideal figure to lead this brand new era at the club, to form a truly lethal partnership with Lamine Yamal. There was incredible excitement building up inside the dressing room at the thought of having another world-class Argentine star at the club after everything that went down with Lionel Messi. Even the club's homegrown academy players were publicly calling for his signing. Everything seemed to indicate the deal was happening, but there was one problem, a massive gargantuan obstacle, as big as the Manzanares River itself, and that problem is called Atletico Madrid, because Julián is obviously not a free agent. Julián is under contract with Atletico until 2030, and get this, he has a release clause of 500 million euros. Yes, 500 million. That means that unless Atletico actively wants to sit down and negotiate, there is absolutely nothing Barca can do. And Atletico, with CEO Gil Marin leading the charge, has firmly said no, they will not negotiate, they will not sell, and their star striker is staying at the Metropolitano, no matter who complains. According to local reports, Barcelona went so far as putting a massive offer close to 100 million euros right on the table. 100 million euros. And in response, do you know what they received? Total silence. A deeply dismissive silence. Not a yes, not a no, not even a maybe. Absolutely nothing. Just the typical frustrating delay tactic designed to waste time and run down the transfer window. And this is the precise moment we reached a total breaking point, because Barca had already spent weeks playing a highly dangerous, high-stakes game, the waiting game, waiting for Julián to push, waiting for the player himself to finally force his club's hand, waiting for him to publicly announce that he wanted to leave. And yes, there were signs. They say Julián himself had dropped major hints that Atletico already knew his true desires, suggesting a clean transfer would be best for everyone, but talk is incredibly cheap. And while Barca just sat there with their arms crossed, staring at the phone, waiting for it to ring, the clock kept ticking and ticking, and with each passing day, the Catalan locker room was still left without a guaranteed number 9. Can you even imagine starting the season with the opening league matches right around the corner without a reliable center forward? Well, that is exactly what was about to happen. And do you want to know what was actually cooking inside the Barca offices while all of this was going down? Wait, nobody has told you this. According to leaks from sources close to the sporting direction, patience within the club had actually run out a long time ago. There is talk of incredibly tense meetings, of long faces, and of Deco getting more and more nervous, seeing that the plan had not advanced a single millimeter. They talk of Flick, who behind closed doors had left a crystal clear message for his bosses. I need a quality center forward, and I need him right now. Not in September, not on deadline day, right now, and above everyone else, Laporta was starting to smell the oncoming disaster. Because a president can tolerate many things, but what he absolutely cannot endure is starting the league season with furious fans, no star striker, and your eternal rival making massive blockbuster signings. That is total death. And right in the dead center of that raging storm, other names began to surface. Emergency options, Plan B, Plan C, even Plan D, because when your primary target is stalled, you have to make a move. So Barca began quietly testing the waters of the transfer market, scouting here and there, inquiring about strikers from across the globe. And this is precisely where things get incredibly interesting, because some of those potential signings are absolute world-class superstars. The very first name to emerge with real force was Harry Kane. Yes, the Bayern Munich goalscorer, one of the finest number 9s on the planet, an absolute goal machine who would be a sensational signing. The massive problem was that the window to sign him for cheap had already closed shut. Rumor has it that Kane had specific release clauses in his contract that actually made him quite affordable, allowing him to leave Bayern for a reasonable fee, but those clauses, according to reports, had already expired. And what does that mean? Well, it means signing Kane now would require paying an astronomical fee, an absolute fortune, and then somehow convincing Bayern to release their main star. A virtually impossible mission. Kane was crossed off the list almost as fast as he entered it. The next one was Alexander Sørloth, the big Norwegian from Atletico, an absolute unit, a true box striker, a potent number 9 who has proven he knows exactly where the goal is. And there is so much drama here, because just look at this move. Barca trying to steal a striker from Atletico right after Atletico slammed the door in their face regarding Julián. Just picture the scene, imagine the sheer tension between these two clubs. The problem is blindingly obvious. Do you really think Atletico, who would never sell you Julian in a million years, would hand over another striker to boost your attack? No way in hell. Once again hitting the exact same brick wall. Once again the Metropolitano saying no. Sørloth ruled out. Then another name emerged, a name that got a portion of the fan base incredibly excited. Ellie Jr. Kroppi, the 20-year-old kid from Bournemouth, a total gem. He is a footballer with a brilliant future ahead of him, and on top of that, a really beautiful backstory. They say the kid dreamed of wearing the Barca shirt, that it had been his biggest childhood dream, and he would have done absolutely anything to come. Flick loved him. But there were two major issues, and one of them was absolutely devastating. First, the price. Bournemouth was demanding an absolute fortune, asking for figures well over 80 to 100 million. Complete madness for such a young player. Then, the fatal blow. Rumor is that Kroppi is injured, and it is not a minor thing. We are talking about a serious foot injury, requiring surgery and 3 or 4 months out. And obviously, are you really going to pay 100 million for a striker who cannot even play right now? Who you won't see on the pitch for another 6 months? When what you actually need is goals today, this very weekend. It makes absolutely no sense. So Kroppi went straight onto the back burner. And do you want to know what other massive name popped up before the big twist? This one will completely shock you because he is from another galaxy. Erling Haaland. Yes, you heard that right. The Manchester City monster, the Norwegian beast, the striker many consider the absolute best number 9 in the world today. And this is not just some random rumor either. It has been rumored for a long time now that Laporta has a total obsession with Haaland. The president dreams of bringing him to Barca, fully convinced that he will pry him away from City one day. It is the ultimate fantasy for Barca fans, a signing to shock the world. But let us be real. Right now, signing Haaland is totally impossible because of the money, wages, City, just everything. That is a beautiful dream to sell hope to the fans, but reality is light years away. Haaland is one for the future, not a quick patch to fix this summer's crisis. Then another very intriguing name started circulating in the background. Serhou Guirassy, the striker from Borussia Dortmund. He is a proven killer, a guy who scored a massive mountain of goals last season in Germany and the Champions League. And his price was the best part. Rumor has it Guirassy had a release clause for big clubs of around 50 million. That is a very reasonable figure for what he delivers. In terms of value for money, he was probably the most logical choice. Yet for one reason or another, the deal never actually got off the ground, and Barca kept failing to sign anyone. Days dragged on, fans grew restless, the media kept speculating, and up front, there was still a massive void in the attack shaped like a true center forward. Then, just when it seemed this summer would turn into an endless, agonizing soap opera, when absolutely nobody knew which way Barca was going to turn next, something unexpected happened. Deco made his move, but not towards any of those big names I just mentioned. He pointed the club in a direction almost nobody was watching, towards a footballer who had been tearing it up for 2 years in a league that people pay far less attention to than they really should. A player who does not dominate front pages or generate massive headlines every morning. But once you look at his stats and watch him play, you have to ask yourself, how on earth was he not on everyone's radar from the start? Well, the moment has finally arrived. I am going to tell you exactly who this striker is that Barca plans to sign in the coming hours. The new number 9 Deco has pivoted to. A name those inside the club are calling an absolute steal at 80 million. Some even argue he could actually perform way better than Julián Álvarez himself. That is the ultimate praise. Get ready because this name will cause a massive stir. It is Luis Suárez. And no, I do not mean the Uruguayan. I am not talking about the legend we all know, but rather Luis Suárez Cheras, the Colombian forward from Sporting Portugal. Keep this little detail in mind, because it is the kind of thing that gives fans with a memory goosebumps. If this deal closes, he becomes the third Luis Suárez in Barca history. The first was Luis Suárez Miramontes, the Galician, the only Spanish Ballon d'Or winner in football history, an absolute legend. Next came Luis Suárez Diaz, the Uruguayan, the pistolero, another massive icon. Now the third could arrive, the Colombian, making it almost impossible not to believe in clear signs of destiny. But who exactly is this Luis Suárez, and why has Barca suddenly gone completely crazy for him right now? Just wait, because once you see his actual stats, you will understand everything. Luis Javier Suárez was born in Santa Marta, Colombia, and his whole career is the story of a self-made player who built his entire reputation purely on scoring goals. He played for Granada and Almeria, got tough in La Liga. He knows this league. This guy knows the country, knows what it is to fight in the first division, and recently moved to Sporting Portugal. And there, my friends, is where he truly exploded, establishing himself as one of the very best attacking forces in the entire league. A total killer. He scores in every possible way with his head, his right, his left, from inside the box or outside. He is a complete forward and a regular fixture in the Colombian national team, even making their World Cup squad. We are not talking about some nobody here. We are talking about a proven international player in his absolute prime. And here is what they are saying inside Barca. So you better brace yourself because this is pretty wild. Word is that some folks in the technical department are absolutely convinced Luis Suárez fits Flick's Barca system even better than Julián Álvarez. Why? Well, he is a much purer number 9, a real box player. More about being in the right spot to tap it in, which is exactly what the team needs alongside Lamine and Rafinha. Second, his physicality is incredible, and he glides effortlessly right between center backs. He constantly attacks open space, which is pure gold with the dangerous wingers Barca has. And third, what Flick loves most is how he aggressively presses. The striker runs, squeezes, and never hides. He defends right from the front, exactly how Flick likes it. Here is one more crucial stat. This absolutely changes the game, seriously. Rumor has it that Luis Suárez has been one of the top goal scorers in the Portuguese league since he arrived, not just for one season, but consistently. And that is certainly not just a stroke of luck. That is raw consistency, that is real hunger, a player who guarantees you goals season after season. That is the key difference with other names, because a prospect is one thing, some kid with potential who might explode or might not, like Krupi, and a completely different thing is a finished, fully developed striker at 28. He is a proven striker who already knows exactly how to score goals season after season. He does not need any adaptation because he knows Spanish football inside out. When you sign a clinical striker like Luis Suárez, you know exactly what you are getting. A proven goal scorer with absolutely zero uncertainty. And in a wild market where most of your options are either crazy expensive, highly doubtful, or completely impossible, having a guy like this within arm's reach is a massive luxury that you simply cannot afford to pass up. And do you know what must hurt the most for those who spent all summer criticizing Barca? The perfect solution was standing right there under their noses, and yet almost nobody saw it coming. Think about it. While everyone was busy looking at the Premier League or the Bundesliga, searching the major leagues for a trendy number 9 or a flashy name to fill the front pages, over in Portugal, at a club playing in European competition, there was a striker quietly tearing it up, scoring goals week after week, just waiting for his big break. Sometimes the absolute best solutions in football are not the ones making the loudest noise. Sometimes the signing that completely transforms your season is not the one splashing across the daily headlines, but the one a clever sporting director has the vision to spot way before anyone else. And word is that Deco has been incredibly sharp and highly attentive here. He knew exactly how to read the market when everyone else was lost, looking in the completely wrong direction. Then you have the financial side, which is where this entire deal really starts to make perfect sense. They say Luis Suárez has a release clause of 80 million euros. And yes, 80 million sounds like an absolute fortune. It sounds completely crazy. But stop and think for a second. Barca was ready to pay 100 million for Julián. 100 million. On top of that, they faced the massive headache of trying to convince Atlético, who refused to give an inch. For Krupi, they wanted well over 100 million, and he was injured. Kane was completely unaffordable, and Haaland was totally impossible. Then, out of nowhere, you get a proven international striker in top form who can be yours for 80 million euros, flat, just by triggering the clause. No endless talks, no games, and no one playing with you. Inside the club, they see it very clearly. This is a bargain, a total steal. Do you want to know how this deal finally got unlocked? And why it is happening right now? Because there is a very clever boardroom move that I need to explain to you. The key to everything comes down to one single detail, the release clause. Because negotiating a transfer with another club is one thing, sitting down with the selling club, haggling, getting rejected, raising the bid, and going back and forth, only to watch your entire summer slip away in endless phone calls. It is a completely different story when there is a fixed fee you can just pay, and that is it. Word is that Sporting does not want to sell Luis Suárez under any circumstances. To them, he is an absolutely vital piece of the team, their star player, the one who wins matches for them. They have been telling every single interested club the exact same thing all summer. If you want him, trigger the €80 million release clause, and not a single euro less. And that is where the beauty lies for Barca. Because if Sporting refuses to negotiate, that is perfect. There is no need. You just pay the release clause and the player is instantly yours. Whether they like it or not, it is the cleanest, fastest, and most direct way to seal a signing. No drama, no transfer saga, and no depending on anyone else's goodwill. And this links directly back to what was happening with the chase for Julián. Remember the massive issue with the Argentine? You depended entirely on an Atlético side that refused to talk. Your hands were completely tied because his release clause was 500 million. An impossible figure. Without their blessing, there was nothing to do. With Luis Suárez, it is the exact opposite. Here, you do not depend on the goodwill of any club. You hold all the power here, you make the call, pay the 80 million, and the story is done. Do you understand now why some at Barca view this as a total release? You go from begging for a yes that never comes, to having absolute control over the entire transfer. It is a massive shift in the landscape, but it really is as straightforward as it sounds. But wait, not everything is quite so perfect. There are a few key details you need to know. Make no mistake, Sporting will not make the personal sides easy, even if they cannot block the clause. Word out of Portugal is that they are absolutely furious with how this whole situation is unfolding, watching as a European giant prepares to snatch their star player, leaving them with nothing to do but grit their teeth. The Portuguese club was counting heavily on Luis Suárez to fight for major silverware this season. They wanted to compete at the highest level in Europe, and losing your main goal scorer at this stage is a massive, crushing blow, but release clauses exist to be triggered. If Barca puts the cash on the table, Sporting has absolutely no say in the matter. That is just the law of the game, whether you like it or not. And then comes the player side, which is absolutely crucial. Because a signing is never just about the money, it also requires the full willingness and desire of the player himself. And from what has leaked, there is absolutely no issue on that front. Quite the opposite. Word is that Luis Suárez is incredibly excited about the chance of playing for Barca. And honestly, who would not be? We are talking about making the massive leap from a Portuguese giant to one of the absolute biggest football clubs on the entire planet, getting to play right alongside Lamine Yamal and fighting for the Champions League trophy. To wear the iconic Blaugrana shirt. For a striker who is currently in his prime, it is the absolute dream of a lifetime, the ultimate chance to reach the very top. So from the player's side, everything is incredibly easy. He is absolutely desperate to make this move happen. And do you know what I love most about all of this? It is the deep emotional connection, that strange sense of destiny behind the story. Let me explain because it is beautiful. Just think about it. Barcelona spent the entire summer completely obsessed with an Argentine player, dreaming of having another superstar from Argentina like they had in the glory days of Messi. But in the end, the solution did not come from there. It actually came from Colombia, and not just any ordinary Colombian, but from a guy named Suárez, sharing a name with two of the greatest legends to ever wear this shirt. It is as if football, in its usual ironic way, decided that history simply had to rhyme. The Spaniard, the Uruguayan, and now the Colombian. Three men named Luis Suárez, three strikers, one single badge. If that is not a sign from above, then nothing is. And on top of that, look at the clear message the club is sending with this move. Barcelona is stating loud and clear that they will no longer be pushed around, that they will not wait on their knees for Atlético to finally answer the phone. They have other options, they have real power, and they have the cash and the vision to solve their problems alone. It is a major statement of strength and authority, the sign of a massive club making its own decisions, and that makes a huge difference inside the dressing room. The squad sees the board acting, bringing in top-quality reinforcements, refusing to sit idle while their rivals make moves. That breeds real confidence. It brings peace of mind, proving this project is completely serious. But what is going to happen to Julian now? Just wait, because this sudden twist has serious consequences, and some are incredibly juicy. Traffic-wise, if Barcelona signs Luis Suarez, the Julián Álvarez transfer saga is completely over. It is finished, done and dusted, and this is exactly where things get highly ironic, almost cruel. Julian is left stranded at Atlético, stuck at a club he reportedly wanted to leave, missing out on that massive career leap so many expected him to make. Meanwhile, Atlético, who acted so incredibly smug and stood so firm, and who thoroughly enjoyed dragging their feet with Barcelona, is now stuck with a player who might not feel fully committed. Sometimes, by trying to win a power struggle, you just end up holding a massive mess. Meanwhile, Barcelona, who looked so desperate and helpless, turned out to be the smartest of all. They solved their problem a different way, cheaper, faster, and without having to rely on anyone else. If this masterstroke actually pays off, it will be remembered for years. And there is another dramatic detail you cannot miss, because it is pure drama. This transfer puts incredible pressure on Atlético, because now it turns out that they are holding on to a player who reportedly wanted to leave, while the very club that chased him no longer wants him, because they signed someone else. So, what are they going to do with Julian? Just rebuild the relationship as if nothing ever happened? Is the player actually going to perform at his absolute best after a wild summer like this? Those are the exact questions causing massive headaches over at the Metropolitano right now, and all of it because they refused to negotiate when they had the chance. Football karma at its finest. Let us look at the final resolution of all this and see exactly what is going to happen over the coming hours. Pay close attention, because this is the critical part. Reports are spreading, and this is the craziest detail yet, that the deal is incredibly advanced. We are not talking about some distant rumor, a simple inquiry, or just another random name on a shortlist. This is a transfer that could be completed imminently, in a matter of hours or days. Barcelona has decided to go all in on the Luis Suarez route, and when this club gets serious about a release clause they can easily afford, things move incredibly fast. Word from inside the club is that there is absolute optimism that this deal is as good as done, meaning the Colombian striker will soon become the new Blaugrana star to lead Flick's attack this season. He will carry the heavy burden of scoring goals on his shoulders as the undisputed starting number 9, the chosen one. Just picture the scene. Imagine Luis Suarez arriving in Barcelona, passing his medical, signing his contract, and proudly posing with the famous shirt and the crest on his chest. The third Suarez in the history of the club. Picture his presentation, with the fans discovering a striker they barely knew and losing their minds over his goals in Portugal. Imagine his debut, scoring his first goal, celebrating it with Lamine and Rafinha, with the entire stadium on their feet. Think of the skeptics who laughed when his name first came up, those who dismissively asked, "Who even is this guy?" They will be swallowing their words one by one, because in football, those who laugh last always laugh the loudest. Keep this main idea in mind, because it perfectly sums up everything. Barcelona got tired of waiting for Julian, and they got tired of Atlético. They got tired of the endless delays, but instead of giving up or sitting on their hands, they completely changed direction and found a solution that might be better, cheaper, and far smarter than their original plan. 80 million for a proven international killer in absolute peak form, hungry to take over the entire world. In a few months, we might look back at this signing as the absolute smartest move of the summer. Luis Suarez could easily become the lethal striker that absolutely nobody saw coming, the goal scorer everyone will be talking about. Time will tell. But one thing is completely obvious. Barca has finally stopped obsessing over what is happening in Madrid, and they have taken full control of their own destiny. His name is Luis Suarez, the Colombian from Sporting, an 80 million euro clause, and the moment is now. And the message sent is incredibly loud and clear. Barca does not wait around for anyone. Now we just await to see if everything gets officially confirmed in the coming hours. We will see if this third Suarez in history finally puts on that famous Barcelona jersey and starts writing his own legendary chapter at this club. What is your honest take on all of this? Do you actually think Luis Suarez can turn out to be better than Julian like they claim inside the club, or did Barca make a massive mistake letting the Argentine slip away? I really want to hear your thoughts on this transfer, and if you enjoyed the video, Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss a single moment of this absolutely crazy market. We will see you in the next video.